There was a time when men walked like lions, when their words carried weight, their silence commanded respect, and their presence made others stand taller. But now, look around. Men have been softened, silenced, and reshaped into something unrecognizable. We've traded discipline for comfort, strength for sensitivity, and dominance for dependence, and the world applauds it, because the weaker the man becomes, the easier he is to control. This isn't evolution, it's emasculation. And if Machiavelli were alive today, he would call it what it is: a brilliant strategy of power. I see it everywhere. Men afraid to speak their truth, afraid to offend, afraid to take risks, afraid to stand tall in a world that punishes confidence. We've been told to be nice, to be agreeable, to suppress our aggression, to apologize for existing. And at first it sounds noble, but slowly that message poisons the masculine spirit. A man without the fire of aggression becomes passive. A man without the burden of leadership becomes lost. A man who fears his own strength becomes harmless, and a harmless man isn't virtuous. He's powerless. This didn't happen by accident. This was designed. A generation of men distracted, addicted, overstimulated, drowning in cheap dopamine and meaningless validation. Society discovered something Machiavelli understood centuries ago, that to control the people you must first weaken the men, because strong men build order. Weak men submit to chaos. Think about it. Every empire in history fell the moment men lost their discipline. Rome collapsed not from outside invasion, but from internal decay. Pleasure replaced purpose, luxury replaced honor, and comfort became the slow poison that killed greatness. That's where we are now. We are living through the modern fall of Rome, just dressed in designer brands and social media filters. Look at the heroes we used to admire: warriors, kings, philosophers, explorers, men who conquered oceans, built nations, and endured suffering with pride. Now, we celebrate weakness. We glorify victimhood. We call submission progress. Masculinity is portrayed as toxic. Dominance is labeled as dangerous, and men are encouraged to be emotional before being rational. They teach you to express your feelings, but not to control them. To love yourself, but not to discipline yourself. To accept who you are, but not to improve who you are. This is not enlightenment. It's neutering disguised as compassion. Machiavelli would have laughed, because this is exactly how you dismantle power without firing a single shot. Machiavelli believed in one truth above all: power belongs to those who are willing to take it. He warned that when men become soft, they invite control, that when they trade strength for sensitivity, they become pawns in the game of rulers. If he saw today's world, men begging for validation, drowning in escapism, afraid to offend, he wouldn't be surprised. He'd simply say, the prince has done his job. Because in a world of weak men, manipulation is effortless. Every advertisement plays on your insecurity. Every platform feeds your desire for approval. Every system rewards obedience over originality. Machiavelli understood this. He who controls your emotions controls you, and modern society has mastered that art. The modern man was taught to feel everything, but never to master what he feels. He reacts, he overthinks, he over-explains. He confuses vulnerability with weakness and compassion with passivity. But a man who can't control his emotions can't control his life. He becomes a slave to every impulse: lust, anger, jealousy, validation. That's why so many men feel empty, because their strength has been redirected, not destroyed. It's still there, buried under layers of guilt, shame, and false morality. You feel it when you're angry. You feel it when you want to fight, build, or lead. But something in you whispers, don't. That whisper is the voice of a society that fears strong men. So what would Machiavelli do? He would not apologize for being powerful. He would not beg for approval. He would play the game to win. He would study human nature, not to complain about it, but to use it. He would remain stoic, calculated, patient, because he understood something most men never will. Power favors the man who acts with reason, not emotion. If you want to reclaim your masculinity, You must stop reacting, start observing. Study people the way Machiavelli studied rulers, through their motives, their fears, their desires. And remember this, you don't have to announce your strength. Just become so powerful that no one can ignore it. Masculinity isn't about domination, it's about direction. It's not about controlling others, it's about controlling yourself. Every day, discipline your body, lift, move, push. Discipline your mind, read, think, reflect. Discipline your soul. Endure pain in silence, because a man who conquers himself cannot be conquered by anyone. The world fears men like that, not because they're violent, but because they're free. Free from weakness, free from manipulation, free from the need to please. That is the kind of man Machiavelli respected and feared. The Stoics said, "A man's worth is measured by the weight of what he can bear. So bear it. Bear rejection, bear discipline, bear loneliness. Let it forge you, not break you. Because every trial you face in silence makes you more dangerous, and every moment you resist comfort, you reclaim your power." The feminization of men may be the greatest social experiment in history, but you can choose not to participate. You can choose to be the outlier, the man who still stands tall when others kneel, the man who still leads when others follow, the man who still feels deeply, but is ruled by logic, not emotion. That's the masculine rebellion, the return of strength through restraint. In The Prince, Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." Most men today are desperate to be loved. They bend, they break, they compromise, all for acceptance. But the true man, he builds himself until love is a byproduct of his power. And that is the secret every modern man has forgotten. That respect is love in its purest form. When you become the man who doesn't need the world's approval, the world starts to obey your presence. I'll tell you this, brother. You were not born to blend in. You were born to dominate your domain, to protect, to lead, to build, to endure. The world may shame you for being a man, but deep down, it still craves your strength. Don't let them take that away. Don't let them rewrite what it means to be masculine. The feminization of men ends where self-respect begins. And if Machiavelli were here, he'd tell you exactly what I'm telling you now. Take back your power, or someone else will.